Hello and welcome to Impact Hub Belgrade. My name is Nenad. I'm one of the co-founders of Impact Hub here in Serbia, and this is our summer demo day for the Western Balkan startups. We are organizing demo days every 3 months, 4 times a year. This is basically a time when we invite the startup community, startup founders, to come and present to the open audience for us for the first time and for our audience for the first time. There is a goal with our demo days. Obviously, first and foremost is for you to introduce yourself, to present yourself, not only to our online audience, but also here in person, in the space. After our event, we organize a networking momentum, and this is a time when you can actually exchange your contacts and further questions that you don't have for this floor here. But more than that is also that we would like that at these kind of occasions, we understand better what is that we can help as Impact Hub team, as we are a place for startups to go and to really grow here. And also what can we help with the network that we have. Impact Hub Impact Hub Belgrade is a part of the global network. We are present in over 100 locations worldwide, a lot of locations in Europe, over maybe approximately 50 hubs in Europe, but also in the US, Asia, and in every continent, basically. Here in Belgrade, we run for almost 10 years. So we bring lots of knowledge, lots of experience, lots of people that we already met through previous work, lots of your peers, founders that had the experience to work with us and to be closer to the investment. But again, it's at your end to decide how you want to move forward and how you want to go with your company further. Ideally, we would love that you are an ambitious founder who actually wants to scale and conquer the global markets, and that we actually get yet another unicorn from this region, and maybe the first one from Serbia. I don't know how far we are from that. But this event today, I will just briefly run through the agenda. I'm sure you know it's very simple. We're going to have a couple of things very short and very brief. I invite you to be very relaxed, feel like you're at home. And if you have any questions, just raise your hand and someone will pass you the mic, and then we can interrupt whatever we are talking about. After my really quick introductory speech here, we are going to move into the pitching session. We're going to have 5 companies that are going to present today for 5 minutes. And then in front of the jury, which is online and offline. And then jury will have 10 minutes to provide you with the feedback. If there's more time and the jury doesn't have any more questions from the audience are welcome as well. So you can feel free to pose any additional questions after jury ends with their questions and the founders end with their answers. After that, after the pitching session is going to last approximately an hour and a half, maybe a little bit shorter. We'll try to keep everything tight and on time. We will have a podcast, online podcast. It's going to be online on the screen, so you're welcome to follow that. And after podcast, we'll have our special guest, co-founder of the Startup Hire app, that's going to be interviewed online also about the 3 common mistakes that startups make when they fundraise. This will all lead us into a networking event, which is scheduled to start at 6:30, when we will invite you outside at our beautiful terrace to grab a drink, to continue to network, and to understand better how can you help yourself at the end, and how can we maybe facilitate that help. Okay, so what else can I tell you about the Impact Hub? Maybe to share with you that I said already, we are a place for startups to be here to grow. Besides these 4 demo days we organize a year, we run an acceleration program. We worked with over 500 startup teams so far. We are happy to track records of their investments. Over 3 million euros have been invested in these companies. ImpaHub it's not an investment vehicle, and it's not helping startups through any equity in return. We actually are an accelerator that it's a service company. So basically, this is something that we can talk later if you're interested in that. Besides that, we also have the co-working space, which you're welcome to use. We have other facilities and services that we offer to our wider community. But again, this is something that maybe is not on your heads right now, because I'm sure you'll want to hear the companies to present and to hear the feedback from them. Okay, after the summer demo day, we'll enter into this acceleration process. You're welcome to stay in touch and follow other open events that we organize. We organize also some of the closed events for our community members. We are a small community of maybe 100+ members, but we have at least once a month internal in-house events as well. And then the next demo day will be scheduled for September, and it goes like that, through the future. So if you missed something or you felt something that maybe we can improve after seeing this one, let us know. We will be happy to hear your comments and your feedback and to actually come back and maybe do a better one next one. This one I hope that you will like, because we worked, like I said, over 35 demo days so far, and we think we learned a lot. So we hope that actually you will enjoy what we have to offer to you. I will end here. Unless anyone has any first questions right now, because I'm just here to introduce the concept and the event, I would go ahead and start with the jury introductions. Maybe first to start with the jury in-house that you can introduce, and then we can have the jury introductions of people who are online. So jury, please, you have your microphones.
The jury here is very kind with each other. Nice to see you all. I'm introducing myself. I'm Julia. I'm here at the Impact Hub Belgrade as part of the team. I'm coordinating projects, fundraising for the team, and overall kind of overviewing what's happening with the startups in-house and the work we do with the founders. My focus mainly, as I know there's other experts in the jury who also have a more business focus. On my side, I think I will look into the impact of the teams and to see what's their impact for society and also for the more kind of sustainable and environmental issues. Thank you.
Okay. Hello, everyone, online and here in the room. My name is Janan Šarić. I came from Bosnia and Herzegovina. I'm director of the Startup Studio service, actually service from Mosaic Foundation. I think that's most people here from Serbia, they're familiar with Mosaic Foundation. We are actually an organization who support youth entrepreneurs and with in early stage startups, pre-seed, seed money. We invest with equity investments, and we already support, actually in past 5 years, we already supported with 100 equity investments, 100 startups. So I'm here, actually, I tried to recognize the stage and the team and the product, actually, in which phase they are and what is potential maybe for also for invest. Thank you.
Hi guys, sorry I'm late. Yeah, I'm here representing SQ Capital. We are a new venture capital, opened up our first close a month ago. We are launching a few tickets. We are investing in seed to pre-seed stage companies. Around 300K is our looked upon ticket. And yeah, we want to see what's going on here in Impact Hub. Is there anything cool? Yeah, how are the founders and everything else? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, jury in-house. We can hear now jury online.
We'll go first. Yes, Novi, I'll go. Okay, hello everyone. My name is Sanya Mitrovska. I come from Skopje, networker, founder of company networker that helps startup. And actually, they explain us as an outsourcing team for startups. So some might say we're a business incubator, we enable them to get funding, etc. But I would say we just make things work. So that's what we're interested. We are interested in founders that are ready to pivot, that know that their idea is not the exact one, but the success to startup is through fast failure, And that's what we achieved up until now. So we enabled our companies to track 2 million euros of funding, but in very early stages. We work by Google Design Sprint methodologies, and we are the current holder of Guinness World Record for longest business pitching marathon. So that's something that we do. And I would be very happy if I can see an entrepreneur, the team that is ready to make mistakes, but also learn something from them, to pivot, because I truly think even the methodology we work by, Google Design Sprint methodologies, is success through fast failing techniques. So I would be mostly paying attention to these things, to the scalability, but through the founders and team capacity. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanya.
And hi, everyone. Nice to be here with you today. Sorry I couldn't make it in person. I'm Novi. I've been working in the IT industry for more than 10 years, mostly focused on product management and organizational design. I worked with many startups and corporations on projects focused on like wearables, fintech, blockchain, genome analysis, clinical trials, and many others. And looking forward to hear about all the cool things that founders are creating.
Thank you, jury members. So I guess now we can quickly turn back floor to you, founders, and I will invite Radomir Djokic from Remote Santa to present yourself. Here's the mic. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you.
And I'm not sure if Alex or someone is measuring. You come your time. Okay, so Julie will be rigorous on time.
Of course.
If you let you know when.
Of course. Shall I get a presentation? Okay. Yes. Okay, thank you. Do you know that 1 in 3 remote employees feel isolated and lonely? I spent most of my career working remote, and I can tell you this is killing the performance of your team. In average, company profitability is lower. Doesn't work for me, sorry. I can't. Okay. Company for profitability lower by 16%. So, and the number of companies with this problem is growing extremely fast. So I'm Radomir Djokovic, and I founded Remote Center to help companies solve the problem of ghost colleagues and how it affects their companies. So Remote Center combines gifting, games, and virtual parties to help employees get to know each other better and boost company's culture. In this example, you can see that Alex Bird is coming soon. So his company will automatically reserve funds. His team will unite and choose him a birthday present, and they will celebrate it on a virtual party. It works very similar for Secret Santa and other occasions. 2 of us united on this idea in January. Until now, we've built MVP. So I'm really happy to say that we are about to launch it tomorrow morning, and we will onboard first company tomorrow. And we also did a fake website for the US. So we had companies constantly applying for a demo with 140,000 of employees in total. And we have 2 groups of competitors. First group are companies which are doing employee gifting like Awardco and Snappy, but they are mainly award services, so they don't trigger interaction between employees. The other group are companies like Donut. Donut work with connecting remote employees by arranging them virtual parties, calls, but they don't do anything like gifting. Our company combines employee gifting with strong employee interaction. TAM for this is huge, and our 2 main revenue streams are subscription and a discount by reselling gift cards. It's 2 of us founders. Both of us spend most of our careers working remote for leading companies. Jovana is front-end expert, and she's responsible for all designs you can see. My main expertise is in backend and engineering management, and I've already led the development of the app with pretty similar technical difficulties to this one. Also, our first hire is Ivana. She's marketing specialist, and she's responsible for day-to-day operations. So pretty much on this focus, it was about birthdays, birthday parties, Wiltor parties, Secret Santa gifting games. And we are building those and starting from them. But in the future, we want to build a marketplace where everyone can make their own collaborative game for employees and offer it on a marketplace, build a business around it, and sell it to other companies. We are currently part of 2 pre-accelerators and also did personal investment into the companies, into startup. And we are asking for 250K to continue our development and invest in sales and marketing. So I tried to complete a bit early. So if you have any questions, we have more time to answer them. And I guess my favorite part is Q&A.
Should I start?
Please, Navi, go ahead.
Oh yeah, cool. Thank you. Hey, thanks for sharing. It looks cool. Thank you, Radomir. I was wondering, what are the touch points of this product? Is it like a web app or a mobile or some kind of a plugin?
Yes. Our product is a web app, and probably in future we will make it also accessible over Slack, a Slack integration. But in the first version MVP, we build just web app.
Okay. And what is the initial market? Is it USA, like you mentioned, or?
Yes, it's USA. Actually, US companies, but these remote companies in the US pretty often have employees all around the world. So usually we have company from the US with employees in many countries. Right.
The last question from me, I noticed that ever since Corona and the lockdowns, there are a lot of products in the market and companies. One product for HR and the other one for managing something else. So is there a way to integrate your solution into existing solutions like Zoho or the other HR tools?
Definitely it's on our plan to integrate with HR solutions, but our main plan, we started in January this year. So the most important for us was to go to market as soon as possible, and we can build iteratively based on feedback. So it's on our plan, but we didn't put it in MVP.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Should we firstly go the online and then offline? Okay. Thank you, Radomir. Again, it's great design, by the way, presentation. Firstly, I said, why is he presenting and not the marketing? But afterwards, I understood. So it's great presentation skills.
Thank you.
My question would be more about traction. So you've mentioned 10,000 companies overall that have 10,000 employees, but how can you explain what do you have until now? What is the measure of interest that you have until now that this will work?
So mainly, but main proof for us was that we build a website like Fake Door that we had a product, and the companies that applied for a demo in these last 2 months when we had it. So this was our main measure. And from tomorrow, we are onboarding first company. And about this company that applied the last 2 months, we are from next week going to start with some newsletter and contact them that now we can onboard them. We before couldn't even do the demo complete.
Yes. So
did I answer your question or?
Yes, the question would be consequential. So if that's what they applied for a demo, so from where do you plan on starting? Let's say you have the money. How would you attract the first customers, go to market? From where would you spend the money? Not the budget wise, but also how are you going to attract the first customers that will be paid?
So first our customers will, what you mentioned, the paid, we will offer without subscription to the first customers, but also the proof is that they need to spend money on gift card on everything so they can try it for free. And we did small $5 a day Google ads. So we will continue with Google ad now once we release. And we will also go on LinkedIn and start LinkedIn campaign to go for our customers. Is it cold outreach or directly contacting them from their sales? It's still discussion for the LinkedIn.
Okay,
And
but it's Google Ads mainly and LinkedIn. So that's what you tested until now. So you tested one acquisition channel or two, which is?
We for now just tested Google Ads, but more than half of them come organically by pretty much mainly over LinkedIn, not by ads, but over channel and things like that. But we will plan to start LinkedIn. We will need to A/B test some things on LinkedIn when what works the best.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Hello, Radomir. Thank you for presentation. Unfortunately, you had technical issues, so the slides moves too fast. But yes, okay. I have maybe 3 or 2 questions because of time. First is about the market, and actually I actually understand that your clients actually they are focused on the B2B client actually.
Yes.
And did you consider the revenue model? Okay, it's early stage now. You are in the phase that actually develop the prototype, but did you consider the revenue model and the pricing strategy, whatever? And also other question is about the team. I see that you're 3 members of the team.
And 2 founders and 2 founders. We have one first hire part-time.
Okay, just explain, is your first startup that you actually develop? Is your first co-working that actually work together? And did you develop other startups and do you have some experience? So that's 2 questions. Thanks.
Definitely great question. So I will go to the first one about we have 2 main revenue streams, subscription and a discount on reselling gift cards. So when in the first customers, we will offer without subscription and we will earn just by this. You say it's usually between 2 and 5% you get a discount when you resell gift cards from other companies. So, but in the future, the plan is that subscription is our main revenue stream. And the price we took $3 per employee per month. It's what we are going to start with. And this is the price we chose based on our competitors. So both group of competitors, which are pretty different industries, one doing gifting, another like Donut doing remote employee connection, have pretty similar $3 to $5 a month per employee price. So we took the lower bound for beginning when we start. The second part about startups. So both of us founders have strong technical background, but we were mainly on the technical side working. So in one startup, I was leading about 20 engineers as a head of engineering, but I wasn't CEO and didn't build a startup from the beginning. This is first, and same for my co-founder. So both of us are doing our startup for the first time. Yeah, good question.
Just a very quick one. As you said you're onboarding the first company tomorrow, I was just curious to hear how you plan to, you plan the journey with them. So if you plan to measure how things are working for them and for their employees, like what's the journey that you set up for this first company?
That's the perfect question. And that's probably the most important for us to measure what are things that we need to improve, to do better and everything. So we will need to learn over time from them. And definitely we will have ask them for interview a bit later after some time of using to see how are things going and also ask for a feedback. And until we start on doing that, I don't have perfect answer how are things going to do. But the main focus for us is to improve on the product and to come into stage where our user can recommend us to the other users.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just one quick question. How do you see the current going back to the office movement affecting your further growth?
Excellent question. And definitely companies that are going to the office are not our main targets. So it could make effect that our TAM become a bit smaller, but since at the moment it's about more than $500 million, it's 656 million of employees working from home. We still have a pretty big market, and to be honest, I really believe that future of remote work is bright and that we can help with the problems of remote work. So very often the reason people are going to the office, what you mentioned back, is because of disconnection from the team. Sometimes it's harder to onboard new employees, people less know each other, and we definitely want to help on that and improve on that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have 40 seconds left if you want to go for a last.
What's your next step and what size of the money you need?
Our next step, once we release his main part, is collecting the feedback from the users and also A/B test marketing channels and selling. And we need 250K. Yeah, we are asking for 250K. I don't know if I have time to explain for what, but probably not if it's about 10 seconds now. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Radomir. Great presentation. I will now invite Nenad Tomovic from Globero.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm Nenad Tomovic. I'm a co-founder of Globero. Globero is basically two of us are so there is two co-founders, Dalibor and me. Myself, everything what you will see here was made by me. He's more of the developing background. What is Globero? Globero is a mobile application through which users can connect with the psychologist. Currently now in this application it states that Globero is launched in Australia. However, a couple of days ago we launched it in US as well. So it's available on App Store and Google Play in Australia, US and Serbia. The reason why it's in Serbia is because the current psychology, there is 6 of them, are based in Serbia. So all of the psychologists are having more than 15 years of experience. So basically there is 2 sides, the clients and psychologists. So the application is free to download. Clients can choose from currently now, as I said, just 6 of the psychologists. However, we are trying to looking forward to expand the clients as well. We add psychologists. One of them, for example, is Anna Vlajkovic. She's one of the famous psychologists who are helping us to spread the rest of the psychology team. The only reason why we are not spreading it because for now is let's say that they are full of the there is like not too many clients. However, we didn't want to put the more psychologists inside the application, and didn't want for them to place the appointments and not to be booked. Yeah. So this is the market which we did just for the Australia, especially because of and after the Corona. So basically we are talking about 8.6 million of the people who are having some kind of mental disease. Basically that's 1 in 5 Australians with the all population. So as I said, this was done just with the market in Australia. We still didn't put anything in US market, but we will do it. And as I said, in Australia, it says that after the COVID, especially, there is a 28% increase of the teletherapy for for the people who are looking for the therapy. So this is the market plan which we are having and which we are, some of them are doing right now. The social media is something what we are doing. However, we would love to expand in a little bit more our SEO, and this podcast should be something very, very interesting for us. I think where we will put our psychology in a live conversation with our clients. So yeah, there is many of the growth opportunities. However, I will just mention that we can have some group therapies which could be done in cooperation with some mental health insurance. We have already some conversations with some Australian insurance companies which are interested in using the application. We just need to see with them how are they gonna do it. The mobile application inside of, I didn't mention that, I have the opportunity for the groups, for the categories, sorry. So for example, now there is just one category as the psychologist. However, there could be psychotherapists, they maybe just putting the other group for anxiety and so on and so on, okay? So this is currently the pricing model, which is the application is working on. This is the price of $125 is the session, which lasts around 60 minutes, 80% going to psychology, 20% going to the application. Some of the goals and objectives in the future is obviously having more followers on the social media, trying to increase the number of the leads and the people who will try to, let's say, use the application on a monthly basis. One of the things which we are going to do it is that we're going to offer the let's say number of the sessions. We are talking about that as well with the psychologists. And so they said, like, you know, because with 1 or 3 or 2 therapists and sessions, you will not do anything. However, then offering to them like 10 or 20, which they are going to pay in front, it's going to be, yeah. So yeah, thank you very much. Now you can ask the questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think this is the last one. So.
Is this last one slide?
Yeah, last one.
Okay, maybe I can start. Just I have a few questions about products actually. If I understand, the calls happening through the app.
Yes. So
yes, you have the control. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. The app, the application works like, you know. So I will just give you an example. So if 60-minute session costs $60, the user is paying for $60. However, the session is, if the session is like, you know, breakdown in 50 minutes for any kind of reason, okay, internet or I don't know, whatever, the $50 is something what is taken over from their account, 10 is coming back, giving back to them. And then, you know, $50, 50 minutes is something what is paid to the customer. So just, you know, basically the correct time which they are working is the pay.
Great. And also, I didn't hear and saw that how many deals do you have already now in Australia? And because there is the launch and the online.
Around 20 people who are using the application and going back.
And how many psychologists you have in network?
Currently now
just 6.
The only reason, as I said, is because we really didn't put a lot of money in marketing until now, and obviously the application is showing.
And all are from Serbia, psychologists. Yes. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi.
Hello.
A couple of quick questions.
Yes.
First one, how do you plan to verify and check the psychologists that are registered to the app in the long run?
Yeah, so when I started to chasing the psychologist, somehow I came across to Anna, and you can, you know, search for her. She's every week on a television. So she's one of them. She was in, I think, United Nations, something connected to Serbia, I don't know what. And then she recommended me 3 of those, and then I found 2 of them more. However, those 2 girls know, you know, these older ladies, so let's say that they are all, you know, knowing each other. One of the things which I can, you know, be proud of is somebody asked me what is the difference between, you know, this application and somebody else, is obviously the empathy of the psychologist. So one of the problems which I saw with the people who are working as a psychologist and the clients, especially the clients, they said me like, you know, it's okay, it's all good over there in Australia. So I'm now referring just to Australia. However, as I said, we will place the application in America as well. Is that they're calling psychology, everything's fine. However, there is no any kind of connection. These ladies are obviously, doing very, very good with empathy. With they are really talking when they are talking to somebody. They are really want to help. They're not just over there to talk, to listen, and finish the conversation, take the money, and go. So that's really, really huge difference. And as I said, these people who are using it, and more people to whom I talking to, they say like, that's amazing thing with those psychologists. However, they are the one who is going to help in the future to spread and chase the psychologists, not even just in Serbia.
Do you plan to allow users to book psychologists from different countries, or do you mean to segment it geographically?
Well, for now, we are just based in Australia and US just because of English language, because psychologists here are speaking English language, and it's easier for us to find somebody who is speaking English. However, tomorrow, why not to try to find somebody from Spain as well?
My follow-up question is, how do you plan to then mitigate the price differences that are allocated to geographical regions? Because there might be price dumping on the psychologist part.
So the pricing, like in Australia, something what we researchers goes from $200+ per session. However, in here, obviously, as I show, the psychologists are going to be happy with this $100. However, that can be rise up. So, like, I don't mind if everybody, we are not going to mind if somebody put even $1,000. If somebody going to pay, why not?
And one final question from me. What kind of perks and benefits do you want to give to the user in order to combat, because this market you're currently accessing is an emerging market, but it is highly competitive. Last week I had 2 calls with 2 different companies that have 60,000 users already. Do you plan to give any perks or benefits to break the status quo and attract more users?
The next plan is obviously to give them some kind of not group sessions, but offering not offer just one session, offering 10 to 20 sessions for some discount price. So that's going to be attract them to come and do entire session, and not just come and do just one session, because obviously one session is not going to help you much.
Awesome, thanks.
Thank you.
So I'm just checking with the jury online. We have 5 more minutes of question if someone wants to jump in.
We can go also, Novi, if you have. Nobody there? Okay. I just wanted to ask why Australia. So I'm trying to evaluate the market fit and the founder fit. Firstly, why Australia, and then why you have this idea, the founder fit.
Firstly, the Australia is simply because of the situation, because there obviously after the pandemic and during the pandemic was the worst situation over there. Secondly, when I met this guy, he's living in Australia and working over there. So basically, we just for now started to register everything over there. So
he's not a therapist, or he's visiting?
No, he's not. He's developer. No, neither me and him are the therapist. So
okay, but is someone visiting? For example, I work 3 years along right now with psychotherapists, so I know how that process functions, and we do it online actually. So is some of you in this thing? Do you pass one session like from beginning and the end, and what would you offer extra to the, I would say to the psychotherapist, but also to the user, like a benefit to the user? I've heard these packages, but what to the psychotherapist? Convenience or
psychotherapy? Psychologists are having the obviously easy thing because they are not going to chase the clients. We are going to do everything, marketing and bringing the clients to them. So they just need to, let's say, sit at home, use the mobile phone and simply do the job. They are not going to waste the time for anything else instead of the work.
So you're expanding the market. So your job would be to attract clients from other countries that would pay more, because here, for example, in Macedonia, we pay 30 euros per hour regularly. So it's a huge price gap.
One of the things which we do not want to do, like, putting the price down for those psychology sessions. Every psychology have their own price, so they are going to say the price. Somebody's going to say, I don't know, 20 euros. Somebody's going to say 100 euros. That's up to them. So and then up to the clients to choose which one they are going to call.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, thank you. Two quick questions from me. You mentioned the business model current where they're paying this sum and then getting the therapy. But have you considered some other business model, like more based on subscription? Because if it's going to work, like you would have more than one therapy, right?
Yeah, so one of the situations in which we are now, like we are talking about talking with some insurance companies or the, let's say, how can I say, the companies who are in connection with the mental health hospitals, let's say like that.
Right.
So maybe we can do that as well with them. So as I mentioned in the application, there is a categories. So for example, if some company came to us and say, okay, we want to work with you. However, we want to keep our psychologist. We can just make a category for them. For example, their name of the company, and every psychology who are working with them, they can be under that categories.
Right. And have you considered regarding the US market that insurances, usually they have to approve the psychologist, and they also like look for the in-state psychologist, because otherwise there are some additional taxes and stuff. So if you're in California, you can't get easily a psychologist in, I don't know, New York. So have you thought about this?
Yes, we are. So, for example, I think it's not possible to do it with Germany, for example, because Germany has some kind of very strong issues with those things. However, as I said, we will try to do and work with any region, any country which will accept this kind of thing. However, as I really think that there is a lot of as I said, you saw in our presentation, just in Australia, there is 8.6 million of the people who are looking for mental health.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. That's all from me.
You're welcome.
It's 10 seconds left, so I don't know if you want to go for a quick one, but...
Sorry, just during the break, I will say, because there is a lot of opportunities, but the building the market is crucial here. And you put on the last slide actually B2G model actually, and also that there's a lot of association who actually organize the psychotherapy, familiar that I think that the topic is, I will say that this hot mental disease after the pandemic is really now that they are, but also that this is the competitive industry. You understand that's just okay, but we after the great presentation, sorry, on the beginning I say thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Nana. Before I call Olga from the Challenger, I would just like to remind jury that there is an online form, and startups just let you know that they're filling in their remarks, and then we will, after the last presenter, get into the separate room and evaluate and try to find the best one. So I invite Olga from the Challenger. So yeah.
So I should stand here, right? So hello, everyone. My name is Olga, and maybe I'm the only one from Macedonia, or North Macedonia now. So I'm one of the co-founders from Challenger at Work, software solution that is rewarding employees for healthy and eco-friendly lifestyle choices. So how we started, we wanted to actually first reward people that are biking, walking, and then figure out how would that go in the market. However, we saw that there is no sustainability model and business model within it. And then we started talking with businesses locally, but also searching what is happening within the global industry. And we figured out that there is a corporate social responsibility software industry that is actually emerging. And we figured out, okay, but how to turn this solution into make it something that is correlated with companies. Furthermore, we started asking employees what are they missing and why they choose the company they work in. So it's not the salary only, but they want to be part of the organization that is led by purpose. And moreover, we figured out that actually employees are not that motivated, and we asked them why. to be part of the CSR, the corporate social responsibility activities within the company, because they don't feel rewarded and there is no competition among themselves. So, and of course, there are companies that are doing a lot of activities regarding CSR. However, they don't have any tracking softwares to prove the impact that they're making locally and on global level. So therefore, we created an MVP product that we are testing, and also we have actually traction and paying customers for it. So it's a mobile app and web platform. For the company, we are CSR and well-being tool for motivating their employees to be part of their company activities, reward them, and also track how they're improving themselves, the company, and the planet. On the other side, for the team, they're using the mobile app, and we motivate them by giving them different rewards from local stores, but also the company is rewarding them. And plus they have internal challenges as well as team competitions. Okay, and this is how our MVP looks like. So what we offer right now and what are they paying for? They set a common goal of having green kilometers. They see how many CO2 emissions they have saved on a company level. So this is how they measure their company impact. They form teams and challenge each other. They can send personalized notifications to their employees, and we help them to create employee appreciation campaigns on LinkedIn profiles and all their social media accounts. So we figured out, yeah, we have these two activities. However, we have to add more activities in order to make it more interesting for the employees. And now we are building and upgrading our product with adding different sustainability activities such as donations, volunteering, planting a tree, eating healthy, but also social and employee-related activities that our company are actually organizing inside. We just want to digitalize and for them to follow their business data intelligence, meaning to measure what are their employees doing, which activities they like to join or they dislike. And this is the way how we can help them to cut costs in employee-related activities, but also invest in activities that their employees appreciate and like. And the target market, of course, it's B2B. And right now we're working with companies that have more than 100 employees. And we're not just, we're looking, of course, the world market. However, we're doing the proof of concept and having the traction on the Balkan market right now. Currently, we are present not only domestically, but also we have expanded Kosovo, Albania right now, Bosnia, Armenia. It's not that regionally, but yeah, we have customers from there. And we're going to have in September the first customer from Sweden. So yeah, of course we have global competitors. However, we don't have anything regionally. And on European level, Julebug is considered to be one of the biggest competitors that actually got acquired by an HR software company a few months ago. However, what makes us different and what we're working on to have this product ready in September is adding this business data intelligence that we're lacking right now to help companies how to save costs, but also improve their activities within the company, and then increase the employee engagement, and of course, show the world how they're making impact together with their employees. The pricing model is based on subscription, meaning they're paying cost per employee on a monthly basis, and they get discounts as they stay longer with us. We have 15 clients on board, and we are now targeting to get, right now we have signed contracts that amounts 22,000 euros, and we're targeting 30,000 up until September. So we have 7 other companies that are writing the pipeline and waiting for their decision. These are one of our portfolio. Yeah. So, but you will ask me questions, and I have a lot of other things. But thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you so much. Sorry to scare people off with this noise. I'll just go for a very quick one. Probably it's just a clarification of what you said before. So you mentioned that employees are not too engaged in CSR on company level. And you also mentioned that this app or platform would be possible to be customized and with more activities. Like, is there a way for the employees to choose the activities, or it's set with the company?
So the HR manager is adding the activities, but they can choose in which activities they will join in. And this is the way how we'll get our statistics, which activities are liked or disliked, and they're also going to be voting. And on the other side, with each successfully completed activity, they get points and they level up and rank up the rank list within the company and within their team. So this is how they'll evaluate after 3 or 6 months, the HR manager, which activities are liked or disliked.
Okay, thanks.
Hi, quick question about the revenue. You mentioned some numbers. Is that annual recurring revenue? Is that MRR? What is that?
MRR currently is 2,000 euros.
Okay. And how long of a contract does a company sign?
The shortest is 3 months. The longest is 24.
Sure.
So we have one company that is second year with us.
And on the checklist of competitors, you put check mark and an exit business intelligence.
Because we don't have it right now, and it's going to be ready in September.
Okay. And one more question for me. You mentioned the competitor was bought out, acquired.
Yes.
Do you know for how much?
Well, we don't have access to those databases in order to see how much they got acquired. So,
Okay.
And I found out just a month ago.
Okay, thank you.
Online juries, if you like to ask.
Yeah, should I go? Okay, so, thanks for the presentation. I see some parallels with Remote Santa. I don't know if you saw Radomir's pitch deck. But what I wanted to ask you is, how does it work now? Like, what are the activities that companies are doing, you know?
Currently, they're collecting, we say, green kilometers, meaning they're walking, biking, running, and mountain climbing, and that's all. And this is how they show off how many CO2 emissions they have saved, because instead of using their car, they're walking or biking to work.
Yeah, nice. And you know that saying, when a measure becomes a target, it's not a good measure anymore, in the sense that people learn to optimize around those like targets. So do you have like any anti-cheating measures in place? Something that would prevent me from like stacking 10,000 or 100,000 passes in like one hour, one day.
I agree, but also disagree with you, because on company level, once they have a target that is for collective good, then they're all motivated to take action, and they're actually moving more than they usually moved before. And then on the other side, when they get reward for their company, they're even more motivated because they want to get their rewards for doing something good for themselves and also for the planet. But of course, it depends on the company. Sometimes companies want to put a target for collecting CO2 emissions. Some of them don't put target at all. They just want to motivate their employees and create team competitions, because one of our, actually 3 of our clients are working in separate countries. And also this is a way of how they do a virtual team building for them. So it varies of the companies how they put, and we help them how to adjust according to the culture they're having.
Right, right. Is there also a way to collect employee feedback? Did you mention that? Sorry, I might miss it.
Right now, the solution doesn't offer that, but we are constantly in contact with employees, to see how they're satisfied with it. Because with the best employees, we create actually interviews for being super eco heroes within their company. But what we're offering right now with the next solution, it's going to be ready in September. They're going to be voting for each activities, and this is the way how we can collect feedback, which activities they like or dislike. So this is one of the feedback mechanisms, but of course, this is just an iteration phase. So it's first one on September, and then the next one in December. So we have planned that we're working in.
Okay,
and we're proud that we have received investment for Fund of Innovation, National Fund of Innovation back home. And now this is how we use the funds to create this upgraded product. And yes, we're looking for investment of 500K, because I didn't mention that, and it's for 24 months runway.
I was going to ask just that. What was the ask? So 500,000. Okay.
Yeah.
But already the funds that you got are for this business analytics that you already predicted.
Yes. Yes.
Money would be for runway. Okay.
Yeah. It is for the first version, and then we plan additional ones. So from the 500K, 15% is going to be used for software development. So of course we're going to upgrade the product even furthermore. But 50% of the money that we ask are for sales and marketing in order to enter into 5 different markets.
Okay. So I don't have any more questions, because I know the idea very well. So it's a team building at your own pace. So I don't have anything to add.
Hello, thank you for the presentation. That was really good. And I'm interesting actually that in the, okay, I understand that the company actually set the activities. That's okay. And there's just on the presentation, there was topic biking, running. There is possibility to put another topic, I don't know, for the.
So we're going to give them predefined challenges and activities. However, they can customize their own. Right now, what we are selling is just these two activities, biking and walking. However, from September, the current customers will get an upgraded product where they can choose their own activities. Doesn't necessarily have to do with sustainability actions. It can be going to Kafana together or go and play basketball together. And this is the way how they'll prove that they went together with their teammates and colleagues and use this opportunity and activity, and then they will get either social points or eco points, depends on the activities. So they will rank in different rank lists based on the activities they choose to.
Yeah, I asked that because there's potential because the companies have the challenge to measure. You know, yeah, you have mentioned that. So that's okay. You have the companies really different kind of industry, so they're interested, you know, that's because of that. And the other side, also you mentioned that employees do not motivate sometimes, you know, and that is the actually challenge to I'd say mitigate that risk, you know, but it's also the opportunity because now globally actually the companies need some kind of the tool that they measure the impact. Yes. So one of your competitions say eco, I don't know how is eco that impact. Eco impact, yes, so that there is also opportunity, yes.
I just have to mention, that our strategic partner from this year is going to be Triglav Insurance, that is well known within the Balkan region. So what we're doing with them, we're helping them to be one of the perimeters of the ESG reporting, that's environmental social governance reporting. And we create a green business league in Macedonia. So all companies will be competing and collecting green kilometers and then saving CO2 emissions. So we're going to choose the best green, in this way, green company. But this is a way how we are actually proving the concept that this is working and that companies would like to pay. And so far we are having paying customers. So this is a good traction for us to add more activities in order for them to stay longer with us rather than just 3 or 4 months or 6 months. Because ProCredit, and Telecom, they're observing us as a campaign for green kilometers. And this is the way how to level up, because we talked with them and they're ready to try that product once it's ready, because they need it to follow the employee engagement.
There's 1 minute left in case anyone has a final remark. Otherwise, I guess we'll thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you, Olga. So as we are kind of like closing the first hour, just to remind you, we have 2 more startups to hear. Also, if we have some extra time after the jury ends with questions and feedback, you from audience are also welcome from audience to ask questions if you like. Or we can keep that for later. And to remind you that after this, we'll have a live podcast session. And then after that, we're going to have an interview with Nemanja Stefanovic from Higher App before our networking hour. So thank you, Olga, once again. And let me invite George from the startup Lupa.
Just to try. Hi, everybody. My name is George. I'm a CTO and co-founder at Lupa Technology. And I'll start this with hopefully brief explanation about the construction industry. So around 70% of the project in construction industry have claims, which happen because of the changes, and changes happen on every construction project. And the estimated value of those claims is around 10% of the project value. So, which makes it basically a 900 billion problem globally. So for the construction companies, the difference between loss and profitability is the ability to substantiate those claims. So if they can leverage the data that they have, they can earn or save millions of dollars. But unfortunately, that usually don't happen. And why is that? Construction teams spend maybe 35% of their time looking for the information. And the reason is that information in construction is heavily siloed across different sources, emails, documents, drawings, and schedules. What we build is a data-driven, AI-driven data discovery platform that enables key people to successfully manage their changes, delays, and claims. So how is Loop enabling that? By real-time processing of all relevant project data and by providing key analytics at a click of a button. What are companies, construction companies, doing today? They have a patchwork solution. They're using a bunch of different software for every different step of the process. And they don't have a streamlined workflow that actually matches the way that they work. Why now? The whole data discovery market is on the rise, growing at 15 to 20% rate annually. And the value of the market related to data discovery in construction is $8.2 billion, and we're aiming to capture 1.2 billion of that. And how we plan to do that? By selling project-based annual licenses. This gives us a great opportunity for an upsell and for providing managed services. Our clients usually have between a few or maybe 200 projects at the same time. So because of that, we also offer enterprise license, which is tailored for a company-wide adoption of Lupa across multiple projects. Our ICP are law firms, contractors, consultants, and real estate developers. So what's the catch about our sales cycle? We have to penetrate that first project within a company to close it. And after that, the sale goes inwards. Our goal is to have more and more people using Lupa on more and more projects with the ultimate goal of selling the enterprise license, where it can be priced around $1 million annually if, let's say, a large contractor have 100 projects in parallel. So this is a specific example that we had with one of our clients from the UK. They were tasked with substantiating $750,000 claim in 3 weeks, and they spent 2 weeks and 150,000 pounds just to go back to client and say, look, we are not going to make it in time. Our fees are going to be greater than the cost of the whole case, and maybe you should drop that altogether. And then at that point, we stepped in, and with Lupa, we were able to provide that required analysis in 3 days. It was, not to bother you, cross-referencing the people working hours with resources and correspondence, etc., etc. And that's just one of the examples of what we've been doing during the previous 2 years. So we managed to sell $500,000 in managed services using Lupa, but more as a services, not as a product. And in the last 2 months, we managed to sell 50,000 in the Lupa licenses. So for the next 2 years, our focus is going to be on sales. Okay. I mean, that's pretty much it. We can jump into questions.
Thank you. We can start. I'm looking at the other two.
Thank you. It's a great presentation. Maybe just to finish, because there's interesting revenue model. My question will be, I think that's in that direction.
I mean, the main thing here is LTV, because as I said, our clients usually have multiple projects at the same time, and one license for one project would be 12,000 a year, and expected life cycle for a construction project is 3 years. But if it goes to a litigation, that can extend to 2 or 3 years more. And yeah, this is the ask, this is the breakdown, and here we have our KPIs. And just to give a perspective, this 10 million ARR in next 2 years, that's equivalent to having 30 enterprise license with, let's say, on average 40 projects in parallel per client. So it's definitely achievable. And that's pretty much, yeah.
Okay, thank you. I don't have the questions.
Can we go back one slide, please?
Of course.
Can you clarify the 0% expected negative churn?
It's to quote one of our clients, there is no alternative for I won't say all of the features that we have, but for example, feature to compare hundreds of thousands of drawings on a project, because you have design set 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, and each one had, I don't know, 10 to 20,000 drawings. That doesn't exist. So they're like, we pretty much have to use that on maybe not all of our projects, but the big ones.
So how many people are in the team right now?
We have, just a second, there is we have 10 full-time people, half of it in the development and in the operations, other half.
Okay, and how many customer success oriented people in the team do you need to have to break those numbers?
That's the catch. I mean, the nice portion, nice chunk of those 1.5 million is going to go to support, because especially contractors, they tend to be a bit chaotic, and at least in the starting phases, they're going to require a bit more hand holding. But we had a successful. I mean, just today I received a mail from a domestic contractor, a big one, where they're thanking us for finishing the issue, and we deliberately didn't want to provide service to them. We told them, you have time, you have good people that know what are they doing, let them learn and let them finish by themselves.
Do you have any commitments in the round so far?
Currently, no. I mean, talks, but not anything specific.
Sure, thank you.
Okay.
Are we going or someone else offline? Okay. So great presentation. Also, I've seen great traction, so I wouldn't comment on that. Also, the catapult is here, so great so far. My question would be, you chose data discovery market. Why that specific market?
Well, to be completely honest, we're sort of in between. We can say that it's data analysis, data discovery, e-discovery, and so on and so on. This is just the clearest message that we communicate to people.
Okay.
Let's put it like that.
Yeah, and one simple question. I've seen that one of your founders is someone who already is in the construction business. So he already is from that side. The first guy on the left, I remember in the picture, but I don't remember his name. How would he explain to a customer, or how what's in it for the construction companies? Like briefly, unique value proposition.
Just to see whether I understood, you said that he is from construction or he is not from construction industry?
No, that he built, as I've seen on the slide, because the slides are not visible, he built at a construction company, right? The guy on the left on the picture.
Yeah, he set up operation for a big, global contractor.
Yes.
And your question is, how would he explain?
Yes. What's the benefit for, let's say he had this tool back then, and with unique value proposition explanation, what would be the benefit for him?
I mean, the value is clear for there is a slight issue with a bigger system, because they tend to be more, inert.
Yeah. What I'm asking, data more specifically, like how they would enter. Okay.
Maybe because I know what company that is, the company of that size, that would probably be through some intermediate, entity. The entity which is closely related to them, and they are going to vet the technology and the solution and utilize it maybe for a year or two. And then that kind of a company that has maybe 1,000 projects in parallel, that would be how they are tackled.
Okay. So your strategy would be to track first the intermediary and then, okay.
Because they usually have those.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
I wanted to ask, regarding the product, did I understand well? Is it like a gateway that collects data from different products and then you transform data and visualize it?
We have like a dedicated server for each client. It's a web application, and there's like the place for storage. They just drag and drop their data, gigabytes upon of gigabytes of unstructured data, email exports, scans, etc. And then we process that, and then they have the environment for analysis and
Nice.
collaboration and producing reports and so on and so on.
Nice, great. So I know you are all experts in the construction industry, but do you see potential in branching out to other industries also at some point?
Definitely, that's one of the KPIs. We see infrastructure and oil and gas as the first ones because they are most similar to construction. But we got a lot of questions about insurance, medical, banking, and so on and so on.
Nice, great, thank you.
If that's all, I just want, can you remind me what was the ask?
1.5 million.
Okay, thank you.
Good. We have 2 minutes left, but it means you were insightful, so we are over with questions. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and last but not least, Belly app and Stefan can present.
Okay, we can start. Hi, everyone. My name is Stevan, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Valley. At Valley, we are democratizing crypto wealth management. Do you know how wealthy people invest? Those that can afford to invest 250,000 euros, they typically go to a wealth manager, which tells them what to invest into, when to enter the market, and when to exit. But retail people, they don't have access to somebody like that. That's why they need to do everything on their own. And typically, they enter the market too late and exit too late, which can lead to losses. That's why we have built a mobile application, which gives a similar level of service a wealth manager would provide, just in an automated way. So it starts with a short quiz that users can fill out and say what is their goal. For example, I want to make 500,000 euros by investing 10,000 today, and over the course of next 5 years, invest 500 euros monthly. I want to risk maximum 40% of my portfolio yearly. So how do I achieve that? We give the user a couple of strategies that he can invest into. So if he is conservative, then some low risk strategies. If he wants high returns, then some riskier strategies. And with a team of PhD quants, we have built 2 types of strategies: passive ones and smart ones. Passive ones, which move with the market up and down, and smart ones, which attempt to enter the market when the prices are low and exit into stable coins when prices are high, basically mimicking how professional investors invest. In terms of competition, there are a number of platforms where somebody can trade crypto, but none of these platforms solve the problem of what to invest into and when to enter the market and when to exit. And Valley does exactly that. In terms of our vision, we're starting first with crypto, but our vision is much broader, and that is to allow people to invest smartly into various tokenized assets.
That is why we have partnered with a company for tokenization of real-world assets, such as real estate, art, and so on, to allow our users to build truly diversified portfolios. Our target customer is between 30 and 50-year-old, well-educated, well-earning, like banker, lawyer, IT professional, engineer. And currently, there are over 60 million people in Europe that fit our target persona, which translates to an addressable market of up to 50 billion euros. We will acquire clients through three channels. One is a direct way through traditional marketing like SEO, PR, social media marketing, and so on. The second one is via partnerships with wealth managers and financial advisors. We have already established a partnership with one wealth management company, which will bring over 1,000 of their wealthy clients to us. One new revenue stream that emerged recently, which seems like the most profitable, is the B2B one, where other companies which offer single coin trading can integrate our investment strategies into their existing infrastructure and offer their users possibility to invest into strategies. And we already are in talks with companies with millions of users which are interested in this. In terms of how we make money, there are three types of fees: trade fees, whenever somebody buys or sells individual coins, and then asset under management and performance fees for those strategies which we regularly rebalance. We want to we want to have 1 billion of assets under management and over 1 million customers in the next 5 years. And in terms of our backgrounds, I have completed master's in quantitative finance, worked for 5 years in banking, and last 5 years in crypto, scaling 2 crypto brokers. One is Bitpanda, which is a unicorn in Cryptomat. My co-founder Marco is the CTO. He was CTO at several startups. And Dilara was in management consulting and also led operations at 5 successful startups. We have an app which is on Android and iOS App Store. We're currently in beta, are now adding our investment strategies into the app, and we'll have a public launch now in June. We are raising 700,000 euros via convertible note and token warrant. And so far we have closed 350,000 from a founder of DeFi Saver, our white label provider TradeCore, and 40 Plus Capital, which is a Slovenian VC. I think that's all for now. Thank you very much. Feel free to ask any questions.
Great presentation, thank you. Can you develop a bit deeper in your model persona?
Sure.
Why exactly that age range and that persona?
Yes, if it comes back to that slide. So we have, even before starting, we have conducted a series of polls and interviews with target customers, and we have identified this group because previously, there were some, let's say, younger users or tech-savvy ones that were willing to do everything on their own, to research, to learn, and so on. But these guys, they, work 9 to 5 or something like that, have their own business. At the end of the day, they don't want to spend time analyzing charts and things like that. They need some solution. And basically, through those interviews, that's the target group that we identified.
What kind of money are you projecting that each of the users puts in the app actively?
Sure. We basically have a customer lifetime value. I mean, based on the previous companies where I worked, typical crypto broker makes between 150 to 300 euros per customer. And some actually make up to 800. Those are those that do asset management. So, somewhere in that range. And in terms of how much they invest, some, lower range ones up to 100 euros, some bigger ones, it can be millions.
Okay, and then you send them a message or a push notification, it's a good time to invest, or do you handle their assets automatically?
No, we have strategies which are basically portfolios which are automatically rebalanced. So they don't need to, it's not a messaging or...
and the interest is basically compounding. You put everything in that coin which the money came from, right? So you do not extract it.
In a port. Maybe I can show you some of the strategies. Okay, doesn't work. It died. Okay. Yeah, basically we invest in a set of coins. So it's not just a single coin, but a portfolio of coins, and basically in different risk categories. So from low risk to high risk strategies with different teams, with different methodologies, from fewer coins up to 25 coins. Some are basically looking at changing momentums in the market and things like that.
And you mentioned something about physically backed assets. Sorry, I zoned out. Is it the real estate part?
Sorry?
You mentioned something about the real estate part, right? The tokenization. Is that just in the pitch deck because the physically backed assets is now a hot thing, or do you have a plan with that?
No, so this company that we partnered with, they're also an investor, and in the future we will exchange shares and so on, and we will basically take over the company and incorporate those products into our platform. Currently they're live with a couple of products. Currently it's not real estate, they're like some tokenized other assets, crypto, this, that, but the plan is definitely in the future to also offer tokenized real estate.
Awesome, love the idea. Thank you.
Thank you. Sure.
Yeah, as I understood from the presentation, you are very growth oriented, and also it was mentioned. Sorry?
What do you mean? Growth?
Growth. You want to grow your customer base. Yes, and also it was mentioned that one of your objectives for the future is to expand to new geographies. So in regards to that, do you already have some localization strategy, or are you thinking about localization for these goals?
Sure. So we definitely would like to localize our services in the future. In the previous crypto broker where I worked, localization proved to work quite nicely. They were producing content in various languages, providing support in various languages, and that allowed them to acquire a little bit older customers, which need a little bit more hand-holding and content in their own language. But these guys were exactly those that were paying a little bit more. So that's the benefit. It does cost a little bit. That's why as at the start, we're starting with the English, but after that, definitely we will localize. Yeah.
Thank you. I think we're just looking maybe at the rest of jury members and also those online.
Yeah, I have one. It's basically a simulation. Because we already invested in one startup that it's for copy trading. So it's like you copy multiple, that's how you balance the portfolio actually. So you copy multiple, it's unlimited traders, and then automatically real time with copying, with API, your portfolio is also managed. So what would you, how would you explain the difference between this and that?
Sure. So initially our idea was to go on some of the copy trading platforms like Economy and take the best traders from there and offer their strategies on our platform. But after speaking to the largest funds there, we realized that the bar is very low. They don't do much, let's say, back testing, stress testing, any projections or anything. They're basically constructing strategies like this. I'll put 30% in this, 20% in this, and so on. And then we realized that we can do much better. So I have a quant background. I went to my university professor in Vienna. He's 25 years in portfolio management on the stock market. And with the team, we basically constructed strategies which are much better than anything we have seen on the market.
So the way they would decide to copy the traders is something that you would do, like how you combine the high risk, low risk, etc. traders, like consultation.
So if you go to a copy trading platform, so imagine if you are inexperienced investor and you typically have thousands of cryptocurrencies to invest, but you don't know which one to invest. Then you go to a copy trading platform which has 1,000 strategies. So how do you know which out of 1,000 strategies to copy? And this is something where we help a lot, by giving you this quiz and by giving you only a couple of strategies which are suitable for you, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
One question for me. How do you see the crypto market in general, over the next few years?
I would say, it's a tricky question because there are a couple of things that impact the market. One is the Bitcoin halving. So according to those cycles, things will develop positively in the next year or two. In terms of the global economy, things don't seem the best at the moment, but according to our models, basically the market will grow in the coming year or two. So yeah.
Nice. Okay, thank you, and thanks for the advice.
You're welcome.
Okay, just two questions. One is simple, and I see that your success ratio is really high when you see the client this table. And do you have complaints of your current customer that they don't succeed, that they use, I don't know, low risk strategy, but they didn't get some ratio of return?
Currently in our application, they can only trade single coins, and we're now integrating the strategy. So you can invest in them now when we have the public launch, basically in this month. So from that perspective, I cannot tell you too much on that user feedback, but from basically the live data, since we run live strategies in the background since September, October, the performance has been quite good. And these are not like intraday trading, but more like long-term strategies. So they, I would say, entered at the right moment when we were closest to the bottom. So.
Okay, great. And you will use this investment for development of the software, and just explain a little bit.
So for a couple of things, one is definitely user acquisition, but another one is for paying salaries and developing the platform. Currently, we have the mobile app, which is the user-facing one. Now, with this wealth management company that is also an investor, we are starting to develop the platform in the background where wealth managers and financial advisors can manage their crypto portfolio. Okay. Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we are now closing the first part of our online and offline session here. I will ask the jury to follow Julia downstairs, where you will have a meeting with the rest of the online jury, except Novi, if you can stay online here, because we'll need you for the next session. And they will evaluate the presentations and come up with a score. We have developed a scoring system which will kind of tell us which one was the best presentation, which startup had the most potential, and so forth and so on. And we will announce that at the end of our event today. So hopefully before networking, we'll hear back. While the jury is in a separate room going through their remarks, I will actually announce a second part of our show here today. We will enter now the online podcast, live podcast, on the trends in sustainable business approaching the big markets, so big market trends and product development. This live podcast will be hosted by Gaia Montellatici. She's a general partner of Studio X Ventures. So she will be joining us live from the US with her two guests. Well, one you already met, because this is Novi, and he will give his insight as a product management and organizational designer. And another guest is Ezra Talu. She's a Go Global founder that will give us in our insights. While we'll have this broadcasted here on TV, in case if you would like to make a break or you want to maybe go outside and have a time off, you're also more than welcome to stay. I'll just like to use this momentum to tell you that after this live podcast, we'll have another live interview with Nemanja Stefanovic. He's a co-founder of Hire App, which just raised 1.5 million euros, and we'll be looking to fundraise additional 500. He will be talking about the three common failures that startups do when they enter the fundraising, and you're welcome to join it as well. So like I said, before we now go into live podcast, let's say we have 5-minute break or less. We'll go and start online. Whoever wants to stay is welcome to stay in the room. Otherwise, you're welcome to join us outside the terrace or otherwise in the space and wait for the jury to come out and maybe remain and mingle further. So thank you, and I'll be back in 30 minutes. So yeah.
I know can we talk? I'm not sure.
I hope
Hi,
so.
Ezra. Hi, Novi.
Hi.
Welcome.
How
Hi,
are
Ezra.
you guys?
Pretty
Where
good.
you are in? I know you are in San Francisco, right, Gaia?
That's right, Ezra. Yes.
I'm in Los Angeles. Novi, where are you?
I'm in Belgrade, other part of the globe.
How nice. Yeah. So it's good. Gaia, let me ask you, do you think that I should put my earphones just,
As you wish.
No,
As you wish.
You can hear me well, and the sound is okay, right?
Yeah,
The
I can
sound
hear
is
you.
okay. We can hear you. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I always have problems with
We
my
are
headphones. We are live.
Nice.
But we are sharing our nice thoughts to each other.
Yeah, small
We're not
talk.
saying anything bad, so it's fine.
Fantastic. Well, we can absolutely continue sharing our thoughts. And I have the pleasure to host you. I am very, very interested in the issue today because I want to myself understand much better how there's market demand from big market perspective in terms of sustainability. And I would love to figure out also with Ezra and Novi how the product development side and the organizational design can become much more sustainable in terms of business building and startups. So Ezra, you have been a tech entrepreneur for a long time, maybe one of the first women in this industry and space. You've been in the US for the past, I think, more than 30 years. You are a Go Global Advisory founder. You are a sought after advisor for startups, mentor, with big experience in terms of early stage financing and investments. I would love to start with you and your perspectives on how you see the trends in the market from a US perspective in terms of sustainability.
Thank you so much, Gaia, and welcome everyone. I'm so happy to be here this morning here in LA with all of you. As you mentioned here, when I relate a context to sustainability, when I think of it, what I should say, I mean, the markets and the world is changing continuously. So whatever we have experienced in our lives, it really doesn't matter that much because we have to always align, adjust ourselves with the current conditions because things keep changing and technology is really pushing that forward. It's helping us in a good way to implement our necessities in place faster, especially for the disadvantaged communities. This is, I think, the world's basic problem in perspective of the US as well, because well-developed, strong economies are somehow given harm to the less developed and emerging markets. And I'm sure Novi also will, prove this, that what the real problem, it's what about the rest of the world? We are here, it's fine, but we should do something for them as well, because otherwise we had this pandemic, it will become a disaster. So in that sense, there is two ways of looking at it. One, on the consumer side, the other on the entrepreneurial side. You know, what is needed in the US market or in general? Because what I think, to be honest, Gaia, if someone want to succeed in the US, in any industry, sustainability is, by the way, it's not a luxury anymore. I see it as a necessity for our future. So we cannot use it as, you know, as a supplement or as a complementary thing. So it's a necessity. But what I think, if there is a proof of concept right now, because most of our audience in Europe. So if there is, I think, for an entrepreneur to succeed in the US market, they really need a proof of concept in their local market in Europe first, and then move to the US market. I'm sure Novi will tell more about the product and all of these processes. It's important. There are regulations and all of this stuff. But what I want to mention and get attention today is how mature is the US market? What do we know about the sustainability in the US? When we, check the research and the numbers, US fails big time. It's because, on the top 10 countries is always Nordic countries, Europe, UK, and even Switzerland, Finland, all of this. They are really far beyond everyone else. And so US, I checked it before, this morning on the rank, it's ranked 47th on the, sustainability list. So it means that there are still a lot needs to be done, not by entrepreneurs, by the way, because, for an entrepreneur to be successful, the ecosystem needs to be ready. The market needs to be ready for it. So otherwise, you take the responsibility of teaching, of, educating people. And this is really tough. When you are the first mover, you take this on your shoulders, and it might be really hard for an entrepreneur. So when we look at that way, there are a lot of things needs to be done. But what I can say, the US as a federal government, they are paying and supporting a lot the green technologies. The green technologies are the priorities here in the market. But let's remember that when we talk about sustainability, we have to think of also the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which there are 17 goals. And if the audience can go through them, it's not just about, green technology. It's not just about climate change. It's also about gender gap, women, poverty, hunger, education. There are a lot of industries that entrepreneurs can focus. Maybe it's just, that's a general introduction. Maybe you have other questions, or Novi would like to, add.
Thank you, Esther. Yes, you absolutely framed the big challenge that we all face, but it's actually very interesting to hear that the United States is a big market, does see the problem. They do want to focus on the green, but at the same time, they're very much still building that infrastructure and that ecosystem you talked about. So they're at the beginning as well. You mentioned the government as being one of the main stakeholders that wants to invest in this. Before I go to Novi, can you tell us a little bit, when you say green, what are the applications of the green technology that entrepreneurs are asked to deliver in the US particularly?
Well, it can be anything, like, related to, it can be starting from solar panels to anything that can facilitate the cleaning of the, or the goals to carbon zero emission. Like, think of Tesla, for example. It's a great example. It's the greatest social venture of the world, the Tesla as a car, because they aim zero carbon emission as a car. So this type of bold claims are very important, first of all, and if on the investor point of view, the investors are really willing to see the market readiness also, because right now we see all this chaotic the problems with Tesla, but there are by the way, Gaia, a lot of easier ways to get into the market. Like I can give you an example of a coffee brand, for example, which I know very closely. It is called Blank Street. It's a brand. It is started a few years back. It looks like a very simple business model, but in depth, if you look at it, it started as a sustainable business. So what I mean by that, they started their shops through carts and not by building or entering into buildings, but they built this very sustainable cars, and they're using everything from the cup to the process of producing the coffee, etc. Everything they aim to be sustainable, and they started with as a neighborhood brand. I see a lot of importance in that, in the social impact of sustainability, because this is how you create awareness. There are a lot of coffee brands, but you question when I make them rich, but do I really do something good as a consumer? So I think this type of initiatives are important, and they raise I think approximately $60 million, which means it's a great business model. There are investors they like and they support and they believe in the future of that type of business. Being close to the consumer, talking to the consumer, also creating awareness. And also, Gaia, we'll talk about that maybe a bit later, but who is your target? To understand your target also is important, because when we talk about states, it's approximately 350 million people we're talking about. But, it's not, you cannot, of course, not all of them can be your audience. We are more targeting, when we talk about sustainability, younger ones and women. It's interesting, but women are more sensitive to those issues. So it's important who we are targeting and to focus on that, on that target segment first.
Thank you, Esther, so much. Let me take it to Novi and get your perspective, Novi. Since really you are a long time also in this space and you very much apply complexity theory to product development, management, and organizational design. So what are your thoughts on how can we design more sustainable products?
Yeah, Yeah, so it has to start from the market, because you can only build product as sustainable as the market allows you. And there is this saying I always remember, like you either die a hero or you live long enough to become a villain. And this often happens, like that company starts with good intentions, and over the time, it's overwhelmed by the market, and then it starts doing, some things that are not so great. So any change needs to go, top down. As Ezra mentioned, from the government, from the private sector. Currently, there is this principle that's been like in place for the last 50 years, where the responsibility of the company is to always increase value for shareholders. And we are seeing that this is just not a great principle, so this needs to change, And on the other side, on the market side, we ourselves are the problem, because we have unlimited desires, but we have limited resources. So we always want something new, newer experiences, try out new things, and stuff like that. But it's not easy when you have like 8 billion people, and they're doing that every day over years, decades, centuries. So of course we are in this situation now. So it's not easy, but education and like being more self-aware, and moving away from the consumerism, that's a good start. So I think these are like the main principles. Yeah.
Thank you, Novi. Do you see any examples going into that direction? Because as you said, we are on the way, right?
I hope so. I don't know yet. We are currently in the shift, right? Because there is this old world defined by the markets, and there is the new one, which is the networked society, and we are somewhere in between right now. So the shift is happening, and every time when there's a shift, the things are like shaky and uncertain. And it can be like a shift in the organization, or it can be a shift of tectonic plates, but it's always uncertain, right? So there are actually a lot of examples of companies like who focused on providing good quality product instead of like maximizing value for shareholders. And there is this UK economist, John Kay. He wrote a book about it. It's called Obliquity. And there are several examples, but maybe the most dramatic one is Airbus versus Boeing. So if you know the story of Boeing, it was the pride of USA, but back in the 80s, salespeople and managers, they took over the company and they put focus on maximizing profits. And long story short, they were cutting corners. So you remember in 2018, 2 accidents happened, and it was not great. On the other side, Airbus was focused on producing an engine that spends less fuel, that is more economic. And they were doing that during 2000s and onward. So they increased their market share, So this is why the book is called Obliquity, because sometimes the direct approach, the approach to maximize the profits, is not the right one, Of course, market is big enough, so anything could work, possibly, but that doesn't mean that probably it will work, so there is possibility,
That's a fantastic example. And so this is a question actually for you both, Ezra and Novi, since as we see the markets from the consumer side are not very ready, right? The investors want to see proof of concept enough for it to be profitable. The entrepreneurs and the businesses who want to be sustainable, again, are into that gap of bringing forward something that will make humanity better without having the resources or someone that backs them. Is government always the answer and the response, or is there something else?
Novi, if you allow me, I can.
Please go ahead.
I can try to. It's a difficult. This type of questions, Gaia, it's not easy to answer, because what we are seeing in the world today, that the developed countries are in a way leading the economies. They're creating jobs, they're creating workforce for a lot of people. So it's a kind of, they need to balance this transition in a good way so that people are not workless, jobless, you cannot just say in one day, okay, we're not going to produce, standard fuel cars. Everyone needs to use electrical cars because first of all, they're expensive. Second of all, there are not enough cars. The question is, do we need more cars? Can we not just walk and use public transport or, ride to a bicycle like the Europeans do, the Nordic countries does? And these are about habits. Like when we talk about United States, it's a huge, big country. And like I'm living in Los Angeles right now, you cannot walk. I mean, it's impossible because everything is so far away from each other. But I see more and more that people using this, not the bicycles, but I forgot the name. You know, maybe know what is the
scooter?
The scooters, exactly. Thank you. So, but they're dangerous, and there are a lot of problems. So people are actually private sector also supporting, of course, to make it possible. But I think the first problem is that we have to solve. We need more decentralized cities. Not like, let's think about Europe, maybe because you are in Europe, in for example, any European city like Italy, Gaia, your country. If you are in Milan, there is this thing that you go to the center, centro, and this is how it is in many countries in Europe. But, this has to change. We have to go now in our neighbor, we have to learn to live, and we have to have everything, and we have to do our meetings. This is, if you want, more of a mindset. It's becoming more and more, and not by luxury cars. I'm sorry for all these big brands, but we have to do like French people do. If you look at the world, French are really driving this tiny cars, and they're used to it. But I think US will have a lot to learn from how Europeans they live, because if you look at on the population size also, I think for entrepreneurs here in the United States, you have more than maybe close to 400 million people, whatever, maybe 350 million. But if you look at the whole Europe size, including Russia, it's the double of it. So really what I suggest for them to have a proof of concept and then tell the US market, look, I have this, I built this, it's working here, I have the support from the municipalities, from the governments, from the green funds and all of it. Now I want to take it to and I want to implement it. Because what's good about US, I think you don't deal with the federal government, although they are the biggest purchaser around the world, but you deal with, the states. And so there are really good states that pay attention, like, for example, Florida, Miami. It's great for entrepreneurs, have great opportunities, and they are very supportive in that sense. Every new innovative product can be experienced there, can be piloted there. They're very open. I know because my company is there and I see what's going on. It's worth visiting Miami and meeting with because Gaia, you wanted me to be more specific, so because it's a more compact ecosystem, it's easy. And one more tip for the entrepreneurs: who are willing to come in for sustainability services and products. Miami, it's the hub, it's the place to be, because they also very close to the, they open their doors to Latin American countries. And exactly those Latin American countries, they are the disadvantaged communities when we talk about climate change, when we talk about education, when we talk about, you know, all of the impact that we want to create, hunger, poverty, all of. So they have lots of opportunities if they enter, you know, if they choose Miami. So thank you, Miami. You can choose me as your ambassador if you want. But it's true. Because why? Because Miami was neglected for so many years. You know, it was out of the scene. With the pandemic, it's becoming more and more important hub for many people because all the wealthy people move there. So there is the capital. So to your question about the resources, Gaia, resources are many. There are capital in the world, more than you want. But the thing is, we need more smart entrepreneurs with a business mindset and, you know, great technologies, great innovators. I think we have it already. They are there. But what we need, we need people like you. We need like Impact Hub and all this, you know, incubators, accelerators, to teach them how to pitch and how to sell the business, because that's missing. That's very competitive.
Esra, these are fantastic points. And thank you so much for highlighting actually the opportunity in Miami and the opportunity for our own entrepreneurs from our geography to actually bring our lifestyles through Miami into actually the US market. I do know that there's a lot of cultural affinity actually with Miami. So your point is fantastic. Diversity, as you mentioned, and this is all in the light of sustainability. This goes also back to actually one of the startups that is going to talk in about 5 minutes after us, that started in Miami and is expanding into other US markets. So you are right on the point, and I would love to actually just include Novi in some final remarks from his side in terms of keeping all of these in mind, Novi, and the requirement of the big markets and the entry points and the validation that we need to have from our geographies before we go to big markets. What do entrepreneurs, founders need to have in place? What do they need to do in terms of design of the organization that is to support sustainable product development and scale?
Yeah. So definitely the most important thing is to have the shortest possible distance between the team, between developers and the organization itself and the end user. Because the more steps you have, you know, like if you have end user, talk to marketing or sales, and then talk to some manager, and then to someone else, it becomes a game of like broken phones, you know. So you want to get the information from the first hand. And the second thing is regarding the organizational design, because you want to build a team around motivated individuals, right? And in order to do so, you need to allow them some autonomy. That doesn't mean that you just let people do whatever they want. You set in some constraints in place, and then they can self-organize around those. So you say, we are building this product for this market. We will have 2 week sprints, and we will do this and that. And then they decide how to approach, you know, and build things. The second one is expertise. The people need to be competent, so they don't need to be micromanaged, but this should be like implied. And the last thing is relatedness, like ability for people to connect to the purpose of the organization and the story behind it, the narrative, but also to connect to each other, you know, to relate to each other. So if you have these 3 in place, autonomy, competence, and relatedness, then you will probably have a motivated team.
Wow. Well, what are the skills and the competencies that you need in
It depends.
the
Yeah.
you know?
It depends. It depends what you're building, you know. So it depends. Once you start looking into solution, you will have some idea regarding like what technologies do you need, and then you build your team around that. So it's not so difficult to figure out because there are a lot of like frameworks and tools today that you can just use out of the box. So it's not a big problem like in the past.
In your case, Novi, because you've been working on this for a long time. You even wrote books about it. You know, we all follow you. So, you know, give us an example from what you've done.
Regarding organizational design,
yes, please.
Well, the first step is communication, right? Because social systems are systems of communication. That means any social system like sports team, organization, development team, whatever, you know, it's always like, it's not enough to just have people, because if you have a group of people, you put them in a room, what do you have? You have just a group of people. But if they start to talk, to communicate, you know, between themselves, then you might get something, you know, greater than the sum of its part. So on my end, I always start from this, I want to find like the balance between theory and practice. So I always talk about these theoretic things, and then we together, you know, try to implement them in practice, and then we see how things go, because this is the only thing that you can do. You make some plans, you choose the direction, then you do the things, you self-assess, see how things are progressing, then you correct the direction if you have to, then you do it again, and you know, the iterative process. Yeah.
Absolutely. Our time is up. So I have to close our conversation for now, but please, everybody, give us your questions, because this is a big, complex issue, and we want to tackle it from the different angles so that you can get beneficial and useful resources at your end as entrepreneurs to move the needle forward. A big, huge thank you to both Esra and Novi. It was a very, very insightful conversation, and there's a lot of things to already note and move forward. So thank you again, and I'll see you very soon. Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Podcast, and now we are back in our final session before we go to networking. Also, some of us had a chance to make a little break and have some air outside. With no further ado, as I know that it's kind of like getting close to the end of the day, I wanted to announce our final session, an interview with Nemanja Stefanovic. As mentioned earlier, Nemanja is here in the room. That sounds really great. Nemanja is here in the room. Nemanja is a founder of a startup called Hire App that just raised 1.5 million euros. And with this seed money, is expanding from Miami market into new US markets. His other co-founder is in Miami, and also his advisory is there in the US as well. He will be here on this green, not red chair, because he will be interviewed with the things, what to do and what maybe not to do while fundraising, because I think that's what most of us founders interests, as we are always bombed with the other side of potential investment opportunities. He will be a guest of our online other counterparts, Fred from Purpose Tech, sorry about that, will be moderating the discussion between you, Nemanja, and also Bojana from San Francisco, as she will give us the perspective on as a women expert in SaaS. Fred, are you online?
I am online. Hi, Ninat. Hello, everybody.
I don't see you because I look at a little red button here, so it's a little bit uncomfortable to see if you guys are on or not. So let me move from here. Thank you guys. You guys have quite a number of people in the room. So also, if there's a space for some questions from audience, always feel free to be interactive because we love the interaction. And if you have some additional questions, just raise your hand and I'll bring you a mic so you can also plug in. Nemanja, this chair is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Nenad, for the intro, and thank you for having me here. So, yeah, maybe I should give a bit more intro about myself. As Nenad said, I'm the co-founder of HireApp. We started the business or the startup late 2019. We are aimed at the US market, so we have the development and support and everything here in Serbia, but our main market is the US. And currently we're operating in Miami and New York, and we plan to expand to a significant number of locations across the US. So I'm not sure about the format, but will Fred ask the questions or?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Sure.
Thank you, Nemanja. And we also have here with us Bojana, right? Bojana, I'm not sure if you introduced yourself previously, if you want to say a few words about yourself or whether this was already done. I just want to make sure you're also introduced properly.
Yeah, so I just joined. My introduction, I am, like it was mentioned, I am most recently a product manager for SaaS companies. Prior to that, deep and long experience in software and product in the Silicon Valley and as an entrepreneur a couple of times or a person advising various entrepreneurs. And I'm also from Belgrade, so nice to meet you all.
Fantastic. Great to have you, Bojana. Great to have you, Nemanja, as well. I will also introduce myself very briefly. My name is Fred. I'm originally from Prague, now calling in from Ghana, actually from an Impact Hub conference. I have been a founder myself for about 17 years, started 6 companies. Some of them are successful, some of them failed, as it happens to every entrepreneur. And about half a year ago, I have started Purpose Tech, which is an early stage fund focused on investing in purpose-driven startups. And that fund is also co-founded by the Impact Hub, where you guys are currently sitting. So Nemanja, perhaps let's continue with your story a little bit. So as Nenad pointed out, you have recently raised $1.5 million, right?
Yep.
Congratulations, that's amazing.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about the story and maybe if you can pinpoint, 2-3 top things that you have learned along this story?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, we just raised $1.5 million in a seed round. And I forgot to mention what we actually do. So HireApp is an on-demand staffing platform. We help hospitality businesses get matched with professionals on the market that can fill those shifts. So we have a very Uber-like model. Our clients are one of the biggest hotels in the South Florida and New York area, or hospitality business, not necessarily hotels. And they post schedules of the shifts they need to fill, to have them filled. And we match the pros based on the skill level and availability and other different things. But yeah, I mean, the fundraising journey is a very interesting one. And I know that the focus on this is the don'ts in the fundraising process. But I'm honestly going to talk more about the do's because I think those are the more important ones. The don'ts are usually the common sense ones. Do not lie to the investors. Do not commit fraud and things like that. But the do's are the ones that are not usually known to people. And I'll start from the beginning of the journey. So when we started a company, we kind of know that this is going to be a venture-backed company, which means that we will need additional investment from investors, preferably VCs. The reason for that is if you want to scale aggressively in the market, and we honestly did have some confusion, should we do it? Should we have, be a bootstrap company where we have the freedom to do what we will. And we kind of decided at some point that we definitely want to have a VC investor on board. And the reason why I'm telling you all of this is, first, you have to have a clear vision of what do you want to do. Do you want to be a bootstrap business, which is completely okay? Some people call it the lifestyle business. Or do you want to have an aggressive scale startup that's going to scale to 100 cities, 200 cities, global, whatever, which obviously has a bigger risk of failing. And especially if you have a business that's already generating revenue and is profitable, as was in our case, we had to make the decision. So we made the decision to raise VC capital. And one of the do's that I really emphasize to people a lot is that you need to start doing it early before you run out of cash. People do think getting money is like in Hollywood movies, that somebody, you pitch an idea and somebody just writes you a check and you go and, put that check in the bank and boom, the money is there. The reality is completely the opposite. For us, the process of raising funds took over a year. And it's not even from the initial contact with investors. We knew the investors before. They kind of tracked our progress, but from discussing the investment, it took us a year. So, and actively, it took us 3 months of due diligence, where the investors gone through all of our documents, everything pretty much. So that's like 300, 400 documents in total. Then we had lawyers, then we had 2 teams of lawyers, one in Serbia, one in the US. So the thing is, it's usually a more complicated process than people think. And you need to start preparing for that early on, and you need to understand what you need to have, for the documentation, everything else to present to them when the due diligence starts. So I think that's one of the biggest do's, that it takes time and you have to plan for that time. It's not somebody likes your idea, he's going to give you money in a week time, you have the money. It's not like that. So that's the biggest one. Then maybe if somebody has questions or, Fred.
Perfect. No, very good points, Emania. So basically deciding about the model, right? Am I a self-funded lifestyle company or am I a fast growth startup and I need, VC capital? And then things just take time, right? So we need to start fundraising way ahead of time before we run out of cash, and just assume that there will be all this paperwork involved and due diligence, etc. So great points. Thank you for sharing that. Bojana, over to you. So you also are a startup investor, right? So what do you look for in founders?
So other than the obvious, some experience and the drive and the great team, I am looking for how coherent that their story is, how disciplined they are in execution, how good they are in communication, how vigilant they are in addressing everything, all the potential changes as they come along the way, and they will, and there's going to be a lot of them. So those are some of the key basic factors. And then just in general, what are their ambitions? Where do they want to end up with this? And even when they're raising funds and understanding that it's a big risk that comes with the scaling bigger, with potential to, say, pour gas on the fire and expand tremendously. The question is how they're looking at it and how they're able to adjust to it. So those are kind of the 10,000 feet discussion of that.
Makes sense. So of course, it's a complex decision, right? Whether to invest into a startup or not. So it's hard to simplify. But if you were to nail down maybe the 1 or 2 key areas that are the most critical for you when making an investment decision, what would that be for you?
So it would be the well, they're coming also into the portfolio of other investment decisions that were already made. So that matters. So they need to kind of match that really well. The decision is, like I said, the product and vision, the founding team, and ability to adjust to the changes in the market.
From a different perspective, Bojana, so what mistakes do you usually see founders making, when you talk to them?
So a couple of things that pop up is the combination of being gut-driven versus data-driven. It's an interesting trade-off, and sometimes they lean too much on one or the other side, and that's where the discipline comes in. Another one is not having enough of the independent eyes that can take a look at, say, data-driven versus intuition-driven, and provide independent opinion and help navigate to that a global optimum, except instead of getting stuck in the local, right? So those are the things that I'm seeing off the bat.
Great points. Great points. Nemanja, over to you. So you shared a little bit, the do's, right, and kind of what you have learned. If you look at your success story, right, raising your seed round currently, what do you feel is the underlying reason behind that success? If you were to deconstruct, what would you share with us?
Well, that's a good question. I would love to say that we are data-driven and everything, but that's honestly not true. The company is too small to have all of that. So, we had a lot of intuition, we had a lot of expertise of the market, and we have a huge amount of persistence. So we understood when somebody said no, what that really meant in buying our service and making the service be more acceptable to them, so they buy it. So I think the persistence and the continued focus to grow the business and make it successful, I think that's the most important, and that's something that our investors saw. We kind of know them from before. They followed our progress for some time. So, I think that's the level of commitment we have to the idea is really important. Our product is not great. Our there's a lot of things to be improved, and I think a good investor should understand that and know that, because that's why you're raising money, to make the product better and to scale the product. But I think that vision and the goal that you have, that's something that sets you apart in the sea of other startups. Maybe have good product, but the team is lacking, that there's no vision. And what I've seen on the market is that usually people lose the persistence when they hear a no. And that's the completely wrong approach. When you hear no, that means yes, you should push harder and you should, get to the client or sell the product or whatever. So I think that's something. And obviously, one thing that I know that the investors told me what they really liked is the capital efficiency that we have as a company, which makes sense as an investor wants to invest money in something that has a lot of runway, and that you can make mistakes along the way and learn things and not bankrupt the company. So I think also capital efficiency, which is by default, very common thing in Serbia or the Balkans, but it's not that common in the US. So I think that's also one important thing.
No, those are great points. So I think you touched upon, quite an important topic, and that is that essentially the underlying kind of point of fundraising is having a strong business, right? So I also see this very often, with founders, that they think or feel that fundraising is like a showtime, right? That you just pitch this amazing story in the best way possible, and you're kind of the most charismatic person in the room, and then all the investors will flock in. So sometimes in rare cases this happens, but investors look for the essence of the business, right? So is there a potential? Is there money? Is there market? Is there the right people to drive it? So the best thing that any founder can do when fundraising is actually to build a decent business, right? And this means different things at different stages, right? So for like a very early stage company, this is something else than when you're talking like Series A companies. But ultimately, that's a very strong point, yeah, that you raised there, Nemanja. And with capital efficiency as well, right? So I think this is one of the things that also founders in Serbia and Western Balkans can really take advantage of, and investors see that, right? That we have really smart people in the region who can do great things for with much less resources overall, not just money, compared to the people, for example, in the US, right? So I think this is quite critical. Buena, what's your perspective on the difference? Because you see founders from the States, right? You see founders from the Western Balkans. So do you see any differences? Do you look at them differently? Do investors from the US look differently at the local founders versus, for example, founders from the Western Balkans?
Yes. So definitely founders from the Western Balkans are perceived through the lens of being in a remote geography. And however, at the same time, there is a growing understanding that the level of commitment, the vision and goal that these people have, and the sheer drive, the hunger to succeed is huge. And that really plays well for the Western Balkan companies. That hunger matters, and the willingness, like you said, to play nice with your investors in terms of not misrepresenting stuff and circling them in when they need to be in the loop and so forth. Collaborating successfully matters. Now, the thing that does persist is they don't really know how to work with founders from the Western Balkans. And mainly because historically there's not been so many of them. And also sometimes they'll feel like there's a need to have a single throat to choke, and ideally a local throat. So that helps if the investor is from a different geography. And also it really helps to have a cultural translation. And even though the language is, we know how to translate the language, there's a significant component of cultural translation that has to happen. And if you want to think about the equivalents, like, for example, even just between women speak and men speak, there's a little bit of a cultural difference. Then there's the Western Balkan approach and language, and there's the somewhat understated approach and language that is used in the USA and so forth. There's also another big difference is there's quite a few of them that are very data driven and very focused on how the money works out, how the forecasts work out. And I would say there's what I keep hearing speaking with various associates and friends that I interact with is that the people in the US are very detailed and very analytical, very data driven, in addition to all of these other intuitions. And they go one level deeper on that. So I would say those are the major highlights. And they usually jump out at the point where people are thinking about the next round of investments, where they have started, there's some investment, but then they need to go from there into maybe Series A or Series B.
Makes sense. So there's a question from the audience for you, Bojana. So how easy or how difficult it is for founders, for example, from the Western Balkans to raise money in the US? What's your kind of experience and kind of perspective on that?
I think at this point, it depends on what you compare it with. So I would say for the vision and the commitment and that hunger to win, definitely plays in the favor. it's an evolving thing. I think it should be easier than it is right now. Yeah, and it is certainly very, very possible. And this is something that should be done much easier than it is today. So the long story, it's very possible. Now, is it going to be easy? Is it going to be a one-step? No. Just like everything else, just like remember the other founder mentioned that it took them 3 months to prepare for the funds. So it's not like a movie, you just knock on the door and here you go, the big check. You actually have to prepare for it and so on. But it's absolutely possible, and it should be done. That kind of thing should be flowing smoother than it is now. As the time goes, it will become easier and easier. I would say once that the first few go through that funnel, it'll become easier.
Mm-hmm. What's your take on this, Nemanja? So what would be your recommendation to the Serbian founders? Should they raise in Serbia? Should they raise in the region? Should they raise in the US directly or somewhere else? What's your take on that?
Well, it obviously depends on the type of the business, on the market that you're aiming at. I'm honestly, I changed my mind quite a lot in the past few years. The US was the holy grail for investments. I don't think that's reality anymore. I think if you look at the EU, there's a lot of good opportunities to raise capital. I think the EU currently is much closer to the US than it looks like. And the US, the problem with the US is that there's few large players and a lot of small players in the VC world. And when one large player does something, all of others follow them. And that's what you've seen with the blockchain hype. Now there's the ChatGPT, AI, whatever hype. And the US investors are always betting on those hypes. 95% of them lose on that. 5% make a lot of money. What I've seen in the past few years is that the EU is much more structured with the VCs, that they are investing money more smarter, and they actually do have a lot of capital also. So, but again, it all depends on the type of product that you're building, on the trajectory that you want to follow and things like that. So I think that the myth of the US Silicon Valley VC fund as the holy grail, that's pretty much done. All of those funds are moving to India, Sequoia and all of those big players are looking for startups in India. And but again, it's more of a business preference where you see that the investor will make the biggest impact than saying, hey, I have to have a US VC. No, you don't. I mean, so it all depends.
I agree. So it's exactly like you're saying, right? So it really comes down to the focus of the business. So in your case, you were like since early days, you were focusing on the US, right? So it makes more sense.
We raised in the Balkans, so we didn't raise in the US.
Perfect, excellent. So it really. So I was in Belgrade a couple of weeks ago. So we had like a little session as well, and we actually discussed, the aspects of the Silicon Valley approach to investing, right? Because not every startup is designed to be global, right? Particularly when it comes to purpose-driven startups. Many purpose-driven startups focus on problems in the region, right? And we know with respect to that, typically it's more, it's easier and it's more powerful to work with people who are from the region, right? Who understand it. So for me as a founder, it was always easier to raise either at home, in my home country, Czech, or to be raising within the region. And now as an investor, I actually understand much better why is that, right? Because it's much easier to understand people who are kind of geographically close to you, right? And you have many more connections with those people. So the risk is actually lower, right? Rather than investing in somebody who's in Argentina, right? So certainly there are great startups in Argentina, but how many people do I know in Argentina, right? It's a bit limited. So I think it really depends on the structure, but I think overall, the closer the investor is, the better, of course. Yeah. So fully agree. Nemanja, what would you do? I mean, is there anything you would do differently, looking backwards in your fundraising? Are there any lessons to be drawn from your journey?
Well, actually, not that much. I don't think there's anything that I would do differently. Maybe some things I would prepare better, but again, every investor is different. Every due diligence or investment process is different. So there's actually no boilerplate template that you can use. So it all really depends again on the deal. We did have, some back and forth about some documents and documentations that we could have been prepared better. But again, those are really small things. We specifically targeted these investors. We knew them; they knew us. The reason why we wanted to have them on board is because they do have a long-term vision on the business. They're not necessarily just looking at the return on investment or 12-month goals and things like that. They have a very similar scope of the business as we do, to think of this as something that's going to generate value long-term, and this can be a great company, a great startup, but it needs time to get built. And they share that vision with us, and that's something that it's really important. I think that I didn't talk about, but Bojana kind of talked about the due diligence process for the teams and what they're looking at teams. There's a completely opposite process that's happening, and that founders have to do is to do the due diligence for the investors. You have to understand if you're aligning with their visions. If are they a hands-on kind of investor? Are they gonna be part of your operational business or not? So I think that's also really important that you do the due diligence. Ask founders that have the same investors what they think about them. I think that's really important thing. We did all of that, and that's how we knew that they are the right ones for this, because they have the same level of thinking that we do. And the US VCs, and I think this is really important. What Bojana said is that the culture is different. You're just a number to them. They don't really care much about you as a founder. They care about the business. They care about the returns, because they do have private investors that gave them money, and they have some interest rates that they need to get, and that's all good. I'm not against that, but some founders can work with that, some cannot. So it's all up to you to do the due diligence, understand what you want to get, and
absolutely amazing. Well, last question to you: if you were to give a one-sentence recommendation, to our founders, both in the hub and online, what would that be to be successful with fundraising?
That was a question for me or Bojana?
Yeah, for Bojana.
Yeah, so my advice is the same advice people are given when they're, say, learning how to ski. Basically, they say when you're learning to ski, you refuse to fall, and you fall only when the ground comes and hits you.
That's lovely. Thank you so much, Bojana. Thank you, guys, both of you. Great inputs. Thank you for sharing your thoughts on the topic of fundraising and what to do and what not to do. And with that, I would pass the word back to Nenad. I'm not sure if we want to take some questions from the audience or whether we're moving forward, but over to you, Nenad.
There was some questions in the audience, I think.
Sure. Okay. I just want to understand if you knew the investors from before and you already had a profitable business, why it took like a year to close the deal. And also, if I understood correctly, typically it's very important to have that momentum when you start fundraising, to talk to as many investors as possible in a certain period of time, and then, get the first yes, and then a couple of more and so on. So, can you explain that part? And what could you have done differently to shorten that period?
Good question. First of all, profitability is one of, of the parameters, but not the only one. Obviously, all of the investors want to see if that, traction is going to hold. So it's not like, yeah, I'm profitable. Once they start looking at you, they want to see some, some snapshots of your business in different time frames. So that's why it's important to approach the investors, even if you're not actively looking to raise money at that point, but, just to be friendly with them and, so they can keep track of you. So, I think that all of the investors have different appetites. We kind of raised a bigger sum of money than it's usual for this market. And that's one of the reasons why it took a bit longer. They really wanted to understand the business, the profitability side, the revenues and everything else. So I think that's also depends on how much money you're raising. If you're raising a lower amount, it can be significantly shorter. And also, if you don't have a profitable business, it usually takes shorter to raise money because there's not much documents they have to go through. So, the less you have, the more you have in a sense. You're going to get less money because obviously you do not have traction, but it's going to be quicker because there's not so many things they have to go through. And yeah, the last thing you asked, could we make it shorter? It depends. Obviously, we kind of weren't in a hurry to raise it. So, we, both the investors and us, we took it on our own pace. And, just the last 3 months, we're like, come on, we have to finish this. And, but the reality is, maybe if you are in a dire need of cash at some point, maybe you can quicken things up and explain to investors. But usually it takes time. It's a process. It's a process, especially if investors are entering a new industry or we are significantly different than their other portfolio companies. So they have a learning curve. They have to learn some things about our business, and it just takes time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nemanja. I think we, just for the sake of the time for everyone online, sorry, I'm moving this way, we'll have time to also connect just right after this moment. So if it's okay, maybe we can wrap it up. And of course, I think, Nemanja, I'm talking for you, but you will be happy to answer questions also after the session. Alexa, is it on you to give the final or Nena? I'm looking at the boys, because in the meanwhile, the jury had their decision about the winning pitch. And then we close the part online and we'll have some time to connect with each other.
Thank you, Julia. If it's not a problem.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Actually, I would love to take your seat in the future, especially with that money in your pocket now. First of all, I want to thank everybody for attending this day and being here with us online and offline, especially to the pitchers at first, then the panelists, Esra, Bojana, Novi, Gaia, Fred. It was really amazing to hear everything you had to say. And I'm really glad that I have the honor to announce the winner, because I was with you on the journey through application till this day. And I don't see the winner here in this room. I'm kind of sad because of it. I'm looking for you. George. It's okay. I just wanted to congratulate you for winning on the demo day. It was really a pleasure. It's okay. It's okay. No problem. And for the rest of you, I'm really glad that I heard all of these speeches, and it was, I believe, a really tough decision. And I'm so glad that I wasn't in the jury's skin today. And yeah, that will be it. See you in the fall. I hope you will apply again and maybe be better. That's it. I'm awaiting you on the balcony.
Is this? And happy birthday, Alexa.